How's it going? Today is Saturday, which means it is Park Run Day, and today we are off to Fairview Parkrun. So where is Fairview Parkrun located? It is located in Dublin. It's fairly close to the centre, and it is right next to Clontarf Road train station. So the run is a 3-lap course, starting at the top of the park. You come down, do a few loops, and then you finish in the exact same place where you started. Again, there's another fairly busy one at the start. If you are looking to try and get your PB, I'd make sure you try and get towards the front of the pack. Fairview Parkrun is obviously located within Fairview Park. It isn't that hilly, to be honest. It is just gentle inclines followed by gentle declines. However, there is one steeper incline at the top of the park, and it is predominantly hard standing. There are a couple of areas which I'll show you in just a second where it is a bit grassy, therefore a bit muddy. So I actually wore trail shoes on this run, but I would say that you could probably wear either and get away with it. A quick overview of what a park run is a 5k run run by a group of volunteers who time it. You then get your official time and place at the end, and it is all completely free. So a quick summary before we have a look into more detail on the course. So you start in the middle, make your way downhill to the bottom. There's a grass section there. You then make your way uphill towards next to the river, run up that river, that's the steepest bit, and then you come back down. But as you can see by the top left, it is not a very hilly course with an elevation gain of only around 16 metres. So it's probably one way you could get your PB in if you start near the front. And now that we've had a quick look at the summary, let's take a look in a bit more detail. So you start here at the top end of the park run. This is all hard standing path. As you make your way downhill, you're then going to turn right, make your way onto a flat all the way across before turning left. This is still all on hard standing, and then once you get to this corner next to the road, you turn left again. And now this is the grass bit, and because it has been raining quite a bit, it was fairly muddy down this area, so make sure that if you haven't got trail shoes on that you don't slip. And then once you've done that, you're going to make your way back up towards this fairground park playground where it's a little bit of like a roundabout. So you come off across that, and there's a little bit more of a grass area before you then turn right. Head your way down the path towards the river. You're going to turn twice in two 45-degree angles by the looks of it, and then head your way up the river. So this is the uphill now. Very gradual uphill though, I have to say, before you make your way up towards the Tolka River footbridge of Fairview. At this point, you then turn left. This is probably the steepest bit, slightly majority of an incline. I'll probably say majority of the incline is here. Then you go running along the top next to the train line there before turning left and heading your way back to where we started. Do 3 laps of that, and then you're going to end just off on the grass verge to the left of where you started. And now it's time to have a quick look at the Fairview Park Run record. So the fastest male was Graham Rush with a time of 15 minutes and 50 seconds, which is incredible, followed by the fastest female, which is Chloe Dooley. She's got a time there of 19 minutes and 5 seconds. Again, unbelievably fast, with the average number of runners being around 144 runners. So yeah, quite a busy one. Not quite as busy as ones we've done recently, and the average time of 30 minutes and 22 seconds, which is actually quite slow for an average time compared to all the other runs that we've done. I'd say that this one's a lot easier than the other ones like Ashton Court Park Run, where it's 2.5k uphill, and also a Hollywood Park Run, again, 2 very hilly ones. And now we're going to take a look at my stats. So last week was my 14th park run, and my best finish position still stays as 4th. From Zielony Jar in Poland. And then looking at my fastest times, Chipin Sobry made his way onto the leaderboard last week with a time of 23:23, Evesham with a time of 23:01, and Summerdale Pavilion being my fastest time of 22 minutes and 32 seconds. Right, now let's get down to the run. So as you can see, very congested at the start, pretty busy, and it's quite a narrow path as well, but it's all hard standing like I was saying earlier. The run director, big credits to her as well. She was really loud, really motivating at the start of the run as well, giving all the people with their milestones as well some recognition, which was really nice to see too. And also, if you are not a regular park runner in Dublin, in England, we do have our park run start at 9 AM. I believe that's the same in Wales as well. So do make sure that when you go to Dublin that you know that the park run start time is 9:30. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a very, very long warm-up of half an hour extra added onto the pre-warm-up already before you actually start running. So make sure you know that it starts at 9:30 in this run, and now we are about to get going. So the run director is just checking all the timers already, and in 3, 2, 1, we are off. So there we go, we have just started. It's not actually too slow a start, to be honest. We did start to pick up speed pretty quickly, but I'm not very confident that I'm going to get a good time on this one because I was out until 12:30 the night before and I've been drinking, so I didn't feel the most fit in the morning. But as you can see, you got the people down that right hand side cutting that corner, doing that bit of running across the grass there, but I'd recommend just trying to stay on the path, especially if you're wearing road shoes. And now we are heading our way towards the main flat area. So this is probably a slight decline, and then we're going to turn right in just a second, which you'll see now. and then it is completely flat for the period of this. And you'll see some cones as well down the centre, so try and keep to the left hand side of those cones unless you're taking over, because they try and basically keep the public on that right hand side so that we can run down the left hand side. So that is that straight done, and we are now heading off to the left hand side into the more tree area, and then once we've done that we're going to turn left and it's going to be our first bit of grass. So all of this so far has been hard standing paths. This is the main reason why I'd wear trail shoes will be after this left turn in just a second. And now we are making our way to the left, and you can see now it's quite muddy there on foot. I did see a few people slipping and sliding on the grass here at this section, so this is the main reason why I wore trail shoes, so that I could keep my pace going when I did hit this grass section. And in just a second you'll see a very, very muddy patch by this tree. I'd say this is still a flat section of the course, and then once we come off this we're going to go on a little bit of hard standing followed by a bit of grass, and then the rest of the lap is just hard standing. So here we go, there's a little bit of grass here, then you're going to turn left, so you're back on the hard standing, the playground there on that right hand side. So we're at that area now. We're going to come round this playground and then we're going to head our way towards the uphill section. So here we go, so we're going to turn right here back on that flat path, and now we're heading our way towards the river. So the river you'll see in just a moment on the right hand side, but there's people from all over the place. So you have runners from Nottingham, runners from Europe, all over Europe. You had other runners from England as well. To be honest, one thing I did notice was that Dublin was very flat in general. I didn't actually see many hills whatsoever, but I reckon if you went out of Dublin and further into Ireland, you'd see a lot more of hilly areas and probably a lot more hilly park runs as well. But this was quite a nice and flat one. I was quite happy with this one when I did finish it, so I'm glad I did this one and not one that was further out in Ireland. Now we've just hit that far end, we're going to turn left now and head our way towards the river. So the river's just over that other side of the wall that you can see just there, and we're going to be running literally just alongside of it. As you can see potentially from the video that it is slightly uphill. So there's the river there on that right hand side, just running up the side of that now. It's all uphill here, so it's only a gentle incline, to be honest. You don't really feel it too much. Maybe tires you out a little bit more than the declines do, but the worst hill is just at the end of this when we turn left, which you'll see in just a second. So we've just hit that bridge, turned left, heading up towards the railway now. So this is slightly steeper. As you can see, it's not that much steeper, to be honest. It's not anything like Ashton Court or any of the other ones that we've ran, but it is gradually getting steeper and steeper, and then you'll hit a flat. Watch out for there was like a cable box which went across the course over here as well, so don't trip over that. I think it's here, yeah, here. So it's marked out for you, but make sure you don't trip over that little cable looking box. I don't really know what it was, to be honest. But we are now heading on a flat up at the top next to the railway, and then we're going to turn left in just a second, and it's going to go back downhill towards the start. And now we are going to turn left. So there we go, that's that left turn, and now it is all downhill back to the bottom of the park. So this is what I quite like about this one. Once you've done all that, the half of it's really nice. The second half is just a little bit worse, but it's still not too bad. We're going to head our way now down back towards the start, and I'll point out the finish line in just a second. So there on the left hand side is where you turn off for the finish. You may have just seen it just behind the ladies that we're passing here on the left, but we are just heading our way to the start now, so you can probably recognise these trees here on the right and left. This is where we started, and this is all downhill, so this is just what we like to see. We're doing pretty well. We've done a lap there in 8 minutes, so I was quite happy with that, especially with the slow start. So hopefully we can pick it up a bit now, as we've got a bit more space to run in, and hopefully we can try and get as close as we can to that chipping Sodbury time in third. We are almost back at that grass section, which we'll see in just a second. Over here is also where, if you want a post-park run coffee, believe it's just across the road over here. I'll show you that later on in the tips and tricks section whereabouts it is. But again, be careful when you're turning around here that you don't get head at it too quickly, otherwise you will completely lose your footing and probably hit the deck and be covered in mud. As you can see, the day wasn't too nice. It was quite a dark day, but it wasn't that bad for running, to be honest. It's not too hot, not too cold. It wasn't raining. Can't really complain whatsoever. But as you can see just from the footage, it's a lot darker than some of the other runs that we have done. This other grass section here as well is where I did see someone like slipping over. So do make sure that you keep your footing here, and then you're turning back to the right hand side before heading back onto the hard standing for the rest of the lap, which is quite nice. So this is all flat, like I said before, and we're about to hit that uphill section in just a minute. Another thing to note with this park run, that it is dog friendly, and you can also take a buggy or pram, so it's pretty open to all people that are trying to run this park run. But one thing to note as well is that there are no toilets on the site, so if you do need the loo, try and go to the loo beforehand. There are a few shops maybe on the other side that may have toilets. I didn't need the loo, so I didn't have to check that out, thankfully for me, but that is just one little tip and trick if you are going to the park run. And we are moving back to the uphill section, so we're just overtaking a few of the people there that are volunteering in the event, so thank you very much to all the volunteers, because without them the park run would not go ahead. But if you are enjoying this park run video, do make sure to let me know down in that comment section below. And also if you want to see some other park run videos like this, we try and get one out every Friday. Obviously I miss some park runs sometimes, so we may have a few Fridays where they don't come out, but hit that subscribe button if you want to get notified for when they're out. And also don't forget to hit that like button if you are enjoying it. Any likes does help support the channel, and share it with other of your friends who will enjoy watching this video too. And we are back at that uphill section, so pushing our way through. That's very impressive there on that right hand side, the lady in the green there, pushing her way up to the top. You do start to feel it a bit more after every lap. Managing to dodge the cables there at the bottom as well, so we don't trip over those. But now we are heading our way across this flat before turning left and back downhill through the park. And so we are heading our way back towards the start, and it looks like this lap we were probably about 5-6 seconds quicker than that first lap, so we've done quite well to gain a little bit of time on there. It doesn't look like we're going to beat that Chipping Soppy run time though, I have to say, but I'm not too bothered, as I did feel a little bit rough before I started this run, so just finishing this run was a bonus for me, to be honest. I have to say though, I did really enjoy Dublin, and we did quite a few things whilst we were there. We went to see the Dublin Castle, we went to the Gold Museum, and then we also went to the Guinness factory as well, where we got to pour our own pints and things like that. I will actually be doing a vlog on that in about 3-4 weeks time, so you can make sure to check that out if you'd like to. But we're doing quite well at the moment. We're heading to the bottom of this downhill section. There's not too many people in front of us either, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'll be able to just keep up to the pace of the people in front of me, just using them as a little guidance. I also have a little Spotify playlist which is exactly 25 minutes long, so I know that I've tried to beat my target time every week of 25 minutes. We're about to turn left now, head back onto that muddy section, and then head our way towards the playground. And now we are just heading past that playground, which is on that right hand side, so if you do have any children then you can bring them along as well, and they can mess around in the playground whilst you do the run if they don't want to get involved. And now we are heading our way back towards the flat before going uphill, so this is probably the lowest point of the park run, and we're going to head our way uphill now for that final bit before coming back downhill towards the finish line, and then we can see what time we get as well. And here we go, so we are heading uphill for the final time. There's the river on that right hand side. On a summer's day this would probably look beautiful, to be honest, but just while it's so dull it looks a little bit worse than it actually is. As you can see, we're still doing quite well, 21 minutes and 25 seconds. We need to try and finish within the next 2 minutes if we do want to get on the leaderboard, on our leaderboard, but don't think we're going to do it. Don't think we've got enough pace, and I think it is still quite a fair bit to go, so we'll have to see, but fingers crossed we can get under 25 minutes, which is my usual target. It was also quite good doing one in Dublin because I've now ticked off Ireland along with Poland. I've done England, Wales and Scotland as well. So trying to get as many countries as I can completed. We are also heading off to Norway and Finland as well. So hopefully I can tick one of those off in Oslo and Helsinki. But we are heading our way up next to this train track for that final time, pushing our way across this flat up at the top of the park before turning left and doing our final downhill before the finish line. 22:52. It's going to be close, to be fair, but I don't think we're going to quite beat our time that we got at Chipping Sodbury last week. Right, it is the final downhill. Unfortunately, as you can see in that top left, we didn't beat our Chipping Sodbury time, but that is all good. Can we get under 24? I believe we should be able to do so. Trying to catch up with the lady there in front of us in green. Heading across now to the left-hand side on that grass verge, and there we go. We finished there with a time of 23 minutes and 49 seconds. Quite glad that I was finished as well because I felt knackered, and a position there of 36. So that is Fairview Parkrun complete, and that is ticking F off of that alphabet here challenge, although we've already completed 5 arches, so that was already done. As you can see, pretty flat one, a few areas where there's a slight incline and maybe a steeper incline towards the train track. There is also that grassy area as well where it's quite slippy, but apart from all of those little points, I would say that it's a pretty decent one, and it's a chance potential for a PB for sure, especially compared to a lot of the other ones which I have ran. In terms of aesthetics, it is a very nice park, and it is all in a green sort of area, and you have a nice little river down that right hand side as well. If the weather was a bit nicer, probably would have made it look a lot brighter and perked it up a little bit. I definitely recommend heading your way over to Fairview Parkrun if you do go on a trip to Dublin, because it is the closest one to the centre of Dublin. And now just a couple of pinch points which do slow you down. So we obviously have the busy start, but to be honest, if you go to any of the park runs which are in the centre of a city, they are going to have a busy start. But it's all good because it spreads out pretty quickly and you only lose a few seconds off your time. Then the second one is that grassy area. That'll slow you down just as you take the corners because you don't want to slip over, and along with that grassy area you also have that tight bend as well. So those two things are probably the main things that will slow you down along with the busy start. But apart from that, it's a pretty decent one for a PB. You're going to have slight inclines at most parks, to be honest, so that I wouldn't really class as a pinch point. But overall, a pretty efficient run which you can do in a pretty decent time. And as usual, a huge thank you to all of the volunteers who make the runs happen. Without them, we couldn't do the run. They were all really happy and motivating, and especially the run director who got everything organised really well, and we started just on time. And as usual, let's take a look at a few tips and tricks for getting there. So we'll start off with the public transport. By bus, you can get the 27, 27A, 27B and quite a lot of the other buses which do drop you just outside of Fairview Park here. And then if you want to get the train, so I went from Tara Street all the way to Clontarf Road train station, so you can get the train, that's the Dart line, and it literally just drops you just outside of Fairview Park, so it's the perfect train stop really for this park run. In terms of parking, there is very limited street parking available, so it's recommended that you do come by public transport, bike or by foot, especially if you're staying in the centre as a tourist. You could get an Uber or whatever and they'll drop you off just outside of Fairview Park Run as well. And then if you're thinking of heading off for a post park run coffee straight after, we all head over to the Kennedy's food store, which is at 5 Fairview Strand, which is just here. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to go because I was catching a flight on the day, but I've heard very good things about it. And now it's time to take a quick look at my stats, but not much has changed. We are still on 15 park runs and my best position is still in 4th, and unfortunately none of the bottom 3 times has changed, but hopefully next week we can try and get back on that leaderboard. But with all that being said, this has been Fairview Park Run, and I hope you did all enjoy this video. If you do run Fairview Park Run regularly, don't forget to let us know any of your tips and tricks down in that comment section below, and if you have ever ran Fairview Park Run, let me know in the comments as well. I love to see all your different comments and respond to them straight after as well. But if you like me and want to watch another park run video, you can go and check out last week's park run, which was at Chipping Sodbury, which managed to get on the table in 3rd place for my park run, so you can go and check that one out, or you can also go and check out the rest of my park run playlist on this other side, which has all of the runs which I've done. Next week we're heading over to Melksham Park Run, so if you do want to check that out, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check that one out next week. But I hope you all enjoyed this one, and I'll see you all in the next one.